Traction engine, this one. So traction engine in its simplest form, what's known as an agricultural engine or a general purpose engine, would have been used for threshing, baling, wood sawing, anything, driving the bell. But being able to move itself is a sort of secondary consideration. It was the development of the portable engine. The first use of steam in agriculture was the portable engine, which until recent times in the county of Norfolk. Barrel engines, of course, were built in Thetford. This one is now owned by Mrs. Haylock of the Castle Camp, and its custodian is Phil Starling, but it's driven today by Radar. Now, Sam, Radar, who's driving, his ears are so big he can... Now, Sam, Radar, who's driving, his ears are so big he can hear the grass growing. And growing that massive unruly beard does nothing to take away from them. And that is steered today by Sam's sister. So there we are, that is Duchess. And I'll mention the sponsors because they do help this event go ahead. Duchess is sponsored by Deere Garden Services. Now this is followed by another of our barrel agricultural engines, another single crank compound engine. So the agricultural engine in simplest form is a single cylinder, uses the steam once and exhausts it up the chimney. If you can use the steam twice, obviously it increases the economy. Do a little haulage. So it's got a few attributes that are more normally seen on a road engine, such as the belly tanks for extra water capacity down under the boiler, and the engine being an 8-horse, quite a big engine anyway, but built to quite a high specification, and that one is sponsored by Young's Agricultural Services. Now we've got the first of our steam. You can obviously see the steam wagon is the forerunner of the modern lorry, and they divided into two distinct camps. The Fodens, on the whole, they went for the overtype wagon, so in that you can see it's got the boiler with the engine above it in normal traction engine practice. You can see the chain drive down to the rear axle. This is Australia, so for that reason it was sent out in tractor form with the rolls being fitted when it arrived out there. It was repatriated. It's been with Neil a number of years now. Is it still for sale, Neil? Yep. If you like the chance to own a beautiful 8-ton Overland steamroller, remember steamrollers are donated rather by their weight rather than their horsepower. This is an 8-ton roller. Do have a word with Neil. He's managed to get himself a very nice Lincolnshire traction engine, a Clayton engine, and so he's looking to move his roller Sydney on to a new loving home. And that one is sponsored by Woodford Recycling. So although we do thank our sponsors, they do help. The expenses of putting a show like this on are quite considerable. So now we've got the first of our Marshall engines. And I don't know whether any of you have noticed yet. I think you've all wandered around and seen the display of Marshall and Fowler tractor products, a special display commemorating the anniversary of the company, and as part of that we've got some lovely Marshall engines. Marshalls were in Gainsborough and they built a lot of thrashing engines. They were very popular with thrashing good tractors. They were a good, strong, simple engine, good single cylinder thrashing engine, this one known as Old Nick. And it's nice to see it back at Haddenham. It's not been out rallied since 2015. Like so many of the engines, it came up for a big birthday. So there we are, old Nick. Lovely to see a previous visit to the rally back after having a lot of work carried out. You see your conditioner engine that gives a real insight of the work people put into these things. And an interesting point on this engine, you can see on the back of the tender there's a coiled up hose there. That is the water lifter hose, and you can use that to lift water from a roadside ditch or a stream when you're out on the road. Fill up the water tank. With some agricultural engine like that, you need to do about every 10 miles. So this is followed by Britannia, and Britannia works for Edgar Stevens this, and it's an agricultural engine with refinements, including the solid flywheel there, been fitted with a half cab and third speed. And Jeanette worked for Isaac Ball and Sons in Lancashire, and prominent features on Isaac Ball engines tend to be the full length canopy, as you can see on this one here, and the big toolbox in the back. I think the weather was somewhat inclement up in the northwest. This one's been owned for a few years now by Roger Adams, and he's carried out a fair bit of work. He's had boiler work and one thing and another done to it, and it's lovely to see it here at Sprayers. And this is followed by the first of our steam tractors. Now, steam tractor is not an agricultural machine, not as you'd refer to a tractor now. It's a light engine, so it's a smaller equivalent of, it's been owned for many years now by Charles Saunders, and it's been subject to a full restoration to put it back as near as possible to the condition in which it works. And as Charles said, he wasn't bringing it round the ring today, he was going to let Sam and Martin bring it round because they drove it here by road from War Boys yesterday. So well done to them, very smart, lovely little steam tractor. The north of Britain. This one spent its working life in Scotland. Been owned by the Higgins family from Colchester for a good number of years now. Had a lot of work carried out, always presented in immaculate condition, and that one is sponsored by Latter Hire. So number 6 in your programme is the Foster 3-speed. So we have 50% of the surviving 3-speed Foster tractors here at Haddenham weekend. This one is owned by the Holman family and driven by Garth. It's an engine that used to attend Haddenham a number of years ago. You may remember it used to have a dynamo bracket on the front, and the decision was taken when they restored this engine to put it back as near to original condition. Okay, so the first of our road locomotives is Jimmy, another Aveling and Porter, this one. And again, it's got the features you'd expect on a road engine. It's got the belly tank under the front, and springing along, because a lot of the agricultural engines aren't sprung, so more comfortable on the road, capable of travelling further and at higher speeds. This one spent its working life in Kent, and ended up with Chris Lambert, who was a big collector of engines in Kent. It's been owned by Andrew Coates now for a good number of years, and is sponsored by the Food Museum Stowmarket. This is followed by a hirsute gentleman driving Sir Douglas, and Sir Douglas is the other one of our road engines here, and also interestingly another engine that was owned by Chris Lambert at one point. She attended the first single pieces of metal hanging down. They are spuds. They might be clips or cleats depending where you come from, but you put them on the back wheels if you're in a wet stackyard. You can use them to get a grip and move about. That's driven by Matt and Andrew, and that one is sponsored by Frank Turner Limited. It's got a set of spokes in the rolls, they're solid, and you see the brass bung. To increase the weight for rolling, you could actually take the bung out and fill the rolls with water to increase the compaction. And that one is sponsored by Banold Supplies and Services. And this is followed by Ada, number 18 in your programme, and another engine that's been coming to Haddenham for a long time. Ada is a Fowler engine. She spent her entire working life on the Setchworth estate in Newmarket, and in 1947 she was sold for scrap, and she went into Harris's scrapyard in Saffron Walden, where Ollie Taylor rescued her, making her possibly one of the earliest engines purchased purely for preservation in East Anglia. now owned by Ollie's grandson David Gowlett, driven by his great-grandson Thomas Gowlett. So there we are, that's Ada, and that is sponsored by Harrison Tractors. And the reason she's named Ada is a palindrome. It reads the same backwards as it does forwards, because Ada goes as fast backwards as she does forwards. And if you look down by David's foot as the engine comes past you, you'll see the county councillor. This is Rupert. It's an engine that David's done an awful lot of work on with the help of family and friends, and an engine that won the Restoration Cup here at Haddenham a few years back. And that one is sponsored by John Cobb. Okay, so now this is Mr. Hemmington's Ransoms. It's not an engine I've seen at Haddenham for a few years. Number 19 in your programme. Ransom's traction engines, Ransom St Jeffries, built in Ipswich. Just about where Sainsbury's is now. And they were a popular engine, very popular for export. In fact, a lot of them worked in Ireland and Russia and all over the place. But this is an engine that spent its working life in England. Okay, so we've got a special engine now. This is the Crane engine. This is known as Lord Derby. Spent her working life with S.J. Rossbottom in Lancashire. Crane. And it's driven today by Kate Plum, who is the Weeding Rally Coordinator. Do come to Weeding next July, always a good weekend out. See it on the Wood Rogers, and that one's sponsored by James Deere Carpentry. So another of our A-links now. This is a 10-tonne roller, they probably weigh between 12 and 14. This is William. William works for Cams Corporation. It's an engine that's been in the area pretty much all of its life. So you can pull the pins out of the body on the back there, and by the power of water hydraulics you can tip the body to the rear to either side, and it's believed that is a unique survivor. And that engine travelled here under its own steam from Wimbish on Friday. So lovely to see that here. That's sponsored by Burt Motorsport. This is followed by Boston, which is a small Evelyn roller, about 6 tonne I think this one. Owned by Mr. Nick Allen, who's driving. This one worked for Tipton Urban District Council. So smart little roller, that one, matching one to the bigger one that went round a minute ago. That one is sponsored by A&J Freeman and Son, who've very kindly been providing us with diggers and other equipment to help with the rally over the last week or so. So this is followed by Mr. Michael Swain. He's got a budgie in there somewhere in Gentle Annie. Gentle Annie is a 6-tonne Evelyn roller, single cylinder, piston valve, and she was new to Stanley North and then sold to Taylor Brothers. Ben Taylor reckoned she was the engine that earned him most money out of his old fleet. In about 1968 he sold to the late Roy Swain, and he's been in the family ever since, had a lot of work carried out, boiler work and firebox work and everything, all with the help of friends. And that's driven today by Mr. Michael Swain and sponsored by Erie Timber Products. Now we have a steam car. Very interesting things, steam cars. I don't profess to know very much about them. They're different kettle of fish to your average traction engine. This is a 1902 Locomobile Loco Surrey called Jean, owned by J. Hayes and Bishop Salford. You don't have to wait 2 hours for one of them to make steam. They can be underway in a very quick manner. Anyway, we now have our parade of miniatures underway, starting with Mr. Newman with his lovely Burrell Road engine and matching trailers and living van, and I will do my best to fill you in on the models as they hoon round the ring. They're a little bit faster than the bigger ones. This is Percy II, or Percy II, and that's been coming many years, including with his previous owner, who's also following behind on his 4-inch scale Burrell Road engine. That's Mr. Ray Cowles. So that was the first one, and this is Persevere. This is the next one. So there we are. Lovely to see that here. Another regular here at Haddenham. It's followed by Mr. Sam Morgan with his 4-inch scale Burrell Road engine. That's Mr. Ray Cowles. So that was the first one, and this is Persevere. This is the next one. So there we are. Lovely to see that here. Another regular here at Haddenham. Followed by Mr. Sam Morgan with his Burrell Success, which I've always said is a very good name for an engine. And that's one of our Burrells. So the big problem with conventional rollers on tarmac is when you go from forwards to reverse, they sink in and put 3 little divots in the road. So they did away with the flywheel on the Wallace Advance, as Tom is demonstrating there, to go instantly from forwards to reverse. That one is owned by the Austin family. Followed by Gavin Needham's Bedford 3-ton steam wagon, so it's a sort of freelance engine. This one seems to perform very well. Been coming here to Haddenham for a number of years. A few modern touches on there, like the electric lights and other luxury items. That one is sponsored by Prickwillow Engine Museum, so anybody looking for a day out, I do recommend. I've been myself. The Drainage Engine Museum at Prickwillow is well worth a look. So I said we've got 50% of the surviving 3-speed Fosters here. There's 2 out of the 4. This is the other one. This is Lord of the Isles. And Lord of the Isles has been owned by the Whaling family for many, many years now. And she was due to Tuckers of Loughborough for hauling bricks, so she's the equivalent of a transit truck, I suppose. He spent time there working for a show, but it's Derbyshire, before ending up with Derby's and Sutton. She attended many early rallies, including the East Anglian Club Rally at Sailing in 1955. And she's been in Andrew's family now for many, many years. A few years ago had a rebuild and a repaint, and actually debuted here at Haddenham. So lovely to see it here, and that's been driven here under its own steam from Wisbeach St Mary. So towing the organ and trailer as well. Number 66 is Mr. Kitely with his Garrett tractor. So remember what I said about Garrett tractors when Charles's one came round. Light haulage engine, that one. This is an engine that the owner has built, and very nice to see it here. Okay, so we had the full-size Sentinel come round. Number 90 is a 3-inch scale Sentinel wagon, built on a mobility scooter chassis in 2020, and that one is owned by David Tecklenburg of Yaxley in Cab. Did I get that right? Oh, well, how about that? And driven by Mr. Blanche, who's used to something far bigger than that and from Lincoln. But he'll get used to that. This is followed by Sid. It's a 4-inch scale Burrell Road engine, that one. Owned by Mike and Janet Turner, who are driving, and all the features you'd expect to see on a road engine, and in miniature scale. So a lovely engine, and one you can use on the road, provided that's not too busy. This is followed by Richard Walton with his lovely half size, so 6-inch scale. I'm sure you've all been paying attention. This is a Burrell single cylinder traction engine known as Harrier. That's followed by Mr. Clipson with his very smart Foden timber tractor, number 71 in your programme, and they're an engine that would have been used for haulage and winching. Very popular engines, both in full size and in miniature. This is followed by Becky Peggs with her family's Burrell Road logo. Number 80 in the programme, this one's known as Jack. So the 4.5-inch scale Me Time is a Burrell single cylinder, regular here at Haddenham. This one I recognise it, owned by Mr. Peter Hibble. So if you could all stand by your whistle chains, please. As I'm going to count down from 3, because I didn't do higher mathematics, so I can't get any higher than that. Okay, so anybody with a nervous disposition or school children might want to just put your hands over their ears for a minute. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go!